since I've posted a video. The world has frankly been overwhelming with the pandemic and all my family at home all the time. I've been going on walks several times a day just to help my humans release their pent-up energy. If you've watched my other episodes, you'll know that I can geek out a bit on rhetorical theory. Today's video might seem particularly geeky because I'm going classical. That's right, I'm talking Aristotle, Quintilian, and Cicero. I need to back up as soon as I say that. I identify as female, and you should know that if it were up to any of these ancient rhetorical thinkers, I would not have the privilege to geek out on their rhetorical treatises. So I have some bones to pick with them, so to speak. I still think it's important to understand them because so much of what they, especially Aristotle, thought and preached to others has shaped how we, in Europe and those places colonized by Europe, understand discourse and society today, for better or worse. Some concepts from Aristotle are extremely helpful in analyzing messages, like the enthymeme. You can still find a lot of rhetorical criticism focused on enthymematic arguments, because this is how most public argument functions. I give you a premise and a seemingly obvious conclusion that I expect you to accept, because I assume an unstated premise that we share as a community. Identification rears its head again. I have another video on that in episode 1, and we'll talk more about Kenneth Burke and how he took this concept later. Has anyone ever seen the Coen brothers film, The Big Lebowski? There's a scene in that film that illustrates how enthymemes work really well. Here it is.
Where's the money, Lebowski? You want that money, Lebowski? Bunny says you're good for it. Where's the money, Lebowski? Where's the money, Lebowski? Where's the fucking money, shithead?
It's down there somewhere. Let me take another look.
Don't fuck with us.
Your wife owes money to Jackie Treehorn. That means you owe money to Jackie Treehorn.
Ever thus the deadbeats, Lebowski.
No, don't do that. Not on the rug, man.
See? See what happens, Lebowski? You see what happens?
Nobody calls me Lebowski. You got the wrong guy. I'm the dude, man.
Your name's Lebowski, Lebowski. Your wife is Bunny.
My wife, Bunny? Do you see a wedding ring on my finger? Does this place look like I'm fucking married? The toilet seat's up, man.
The fuck is this?
Obviously, you're not a golfer.
Woo?
Yeah.
Isn't this guy supposed to be a millionaire?
Fuck.
Yeah, what do you think?
He looks like a fucking loser.
Hey, at least I'm housebroken.
Fucking time waster. Thanks a lot, asshole.
The dude asks, does this place look like I'm fucking married? The toilet seat is up, man. I won't spend time talking through the hygiene issues of peeing in your water bowl, or how my best friend Napoleon sometimes pees on carpets too. The important thing to notice here is that for the joke to work, the audience needs to accept the unstated premise that a wife would either make a husband put down a toilet seat or do it herself. At any rate, she would not abide a toilet seat that remains up. For fans, yes, I used abide on purpose. The dude abides, man. We also still tend to privilege logic over other rhetorical appeals, and we use inductive and deductive reasoning all the time. Aristotle was really good at classifying things. He likes to break things down into minute parts and explain it all. Stoner and Perkins suggest that Aristotle allowed for the fact that rhetoric can be messy. He certainly did, but he also did his best to whip it into shape so that it could be as close to the preferred form of thought, philosophy, as possible. Stoner and Perkins talk about the centrality of metaphor, which is still true, and how important it was for shaping audience responses, according to Aristotle. This is also partially true. If we only read Aristotle's Rhetoric or Poetics, we get a warped view of Aristotle overall. Make no mistake, Aristotle thought both rhetoric and poetics were lesser than the pursuit of truth that is philosophy. This is why what Aristotle is writing is not rhetoric or poetic, but rather a philosophical, analytical approach to these subjects in order to better discipline them. I'm going off a bit on those bones I need to pick. Aristotle systematized rhetoric and poetics in order to confine them, make sense of them, and define the moral boundaries of them. Plato would not have even given them that much attention, to be fair. This is all to say that yes, metaphor is important to rhetoric and poetics because of the ways it appeals to our senses and emotions, but Aristotle also thought metaphor was fundamentally manipulative, as was rhetoric. This brings me to Quintilian and to gender again. Quintilian said that rhetoric or oratory is the art of good men speaking well, which, according to the authors of the textbook Making Sense of Messages, Mark Stoner and Sally Perkins again, suggests that Quintilian put a greater emphasis on ethos, or the credibility and moral compass of a speaker, than even Aristotle did. But again, as someone who identifies as female, I need to point out that Quintilian also said, quote, "Regardless of how much audiences, overcome with pleasure, may applaud it, such effeminate eloquence, for I shall speak what I think, will never be worthy of the name of eloquence. For it is language which bears in it not the least indication of manliness or purity, to say nothing of gravity or sanctity in the speaker." So let's take all these classical thinkers with a grain of salt. Here, Quintilian is equating goodness and manliness. The feminine is the negative ethos to avoid in speaking, full of decoration and feminine wiles. Way too many metaphors in effeminate discourse. Okay, I've picked my bones, but I still think we need to understand these concepts so that we can understand how people use them today and how they structure our thinking and values. Keep these terms in mind because they're still being used constantly in rhetorical criticism. Enthymemes, deductive and inductive reasoning, appeals to ethos, logos, and pathos, the canons of invention, arrangement, style, memory, and delivery, genres and generic analysis, and commonplaces or topoi. As much as I may have these bones to pick with classical thinkers, they still shape the way we approach rhetoric.